Louise.
Welcome, everybody. My name is Mina Jane. I'm the director of the Ashland Public Library, and I'm super excited to be back with Leelynn Brady talking about diverse and inclusive book recs because I think that we need this program more every single day. So, as you might know, Leland's going to be doing this monthly, so I will send out a list of everything she recommends. And if you have books that you're reading, please put them in the chat. And if you're enjoying them, and I'll add those to my list that I send out to you. We are recording, so I'll also send out the recording link. If you have questions or comments, please use the chat or the Q&A. I will be moderating any questions or chat with Leland as well. And before we actually get started, I just want to say thanks to the Friends of the Ashland Public Library for supporting all of our programs. And I would like to thank Leelynn for letting us share this program with other libraries because you all know me. If you know me, you know that I think that when libraries work together, we make magic. So these kind of book recommended programs, I was telling Leelynn, we have 7 of them for different genres, have been just like heartwarming and feed my soul every single time I do one. So Leland, this is our second time together. I cannot wait for
Yes.
you guys to talk about these books that you sent me the list the other day because I'm like, awesome.
Yay, I'm excited. I have 8 again, so we're gonna see if I can get through them all. Starting off heavy, the first one is In Every Mirror, She's Black by Lola Akinmade Ackerstrom. She's a Nigerian American woman living in Stockholm, Sweden. The 3 main characters of this book are Kemi, Brittany Ann, and Muna. They are all 3 Black women, and all 3 of them their lives are connected by one Swedish guy named Johnny von Lunden in very different ways. And they come from different walks of life, and they're navigating Sweden not only as a Black woman in a white dominated society, but they're also learning about what it means to be a Black woman, dealing with white fetishization. And I hope I said that correctly. Some of the issues that this book talks about are like racism, classism, mental health, trigger warning for suicide and suicide thoughts. So please take care of your mental health for that if you have any triggers. Again, fetishization of Black bodies. And there's just a lot of tough topics that this book has. And I think the most tragic story for me in this one was of Muna, because she was also a refugee and she had to relocate to Sweden after she lost her whole family. So she was having to learn how to re-navigate her life all by herself in a world that didn't really support her. And this is not a happy book. I'll just say that, but I really enjoyed it, and it really just made me think about me as a Black woman, like what does it mean to be fetishized for my Black body? And, that doesn't happen all the time, but I've seen it happen and it's creepy and gross. And how do I, combat that, or how do I address that in a way that's going to protect myself? Women are have to be careful and take care of themselves because men can be, or, people can be really violent when they're not being supported or whatever when they say something gross to you, right? You know how it is. So
Mhm.
yeah, In Every Mirror She's Black by Lola Akinmade Ackerstrom.
How did you hear about this book? Because I I I think that we're in a place where more diverse authors are getting published, but the
Mhm.
word isn't getting out as well.
This book, I want to say I heard about it on Instagram. So I'm always scrolling on Instagram and I'm always looking for different books to read. And like I'm a cover person. And so the cover itself too, I was kind of like, yep, I see, Black women. The title itself, makes me think about looking in the mirror and I'm like, I can't change my Blackness. And
Mhm.
do I want to? So something about this told me to pick it up. I think I read this like 2 or 3 years ago. It was a while ago. But yeah, I want to say it was Instagram that I found it. And that's where I find a lot of my books, or book blogging, or even the library just browsing.
Mhm. I forgot to say that Leland is a bookstagrammer, so she makes recommendations on Instagram. But that's interesting that you also find recommendations on Instagram.
It's like a community, so you're sharing with each other, and it even though sometimes you can feel like you're posting to yourself and like the void, people do take a look at what you're saying and are like, I read this book thanks to you, and I don't think I would have found it. And recently, somebody actually told me about a book club author talk that's happening for one of the books that I'm actually going to share, and she said that she remembered that I posted about it. and was like, "Hey, I wanted to tell you about this author talk that's out." I was like, "Oh my God, thank you. I didn't even, know that you saw that." So, community, sometimes the book community can be great.
Mhm. And we were talking about this before. I know we want to get to all of our books, but we
Mhm.
were talking about this before is that if you find somebody that you like in the
Mhm.
recommending world, like Bookstagrammer or TikToker or something, that's like gold, like finding somebody that you have a similar interest in reading.
Yeah.
And so I highly recommend it if you can find people that you like, and Leland is one of them.
Thank you. And don't be shy to like let them know because we love hearing that. Like it makes us feel like, or we're our lists and like the things that we recommend are being listened to and important. So just message us. It's fun.
That's what I did.
Yes. All right. So this one is a shout out to my friend Rachel because she loves Stephen Graham Jones. This one is The Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones. This is Indigenous horror. Wow. First of all, this story is about bo four Blackfeet men that are being haunted by this entity that is seeking revenge on them for what they did in their youth. That was in direct defiance of their culture. Stephen Graham Jones is also Blackfeet, not Blackfoot, but Blackfeet. So his characters also share that tribe with him. And this one was really creepy for me. And I remember reading it with a different book club, and it just sat with me. And I was just like, it made me think about my own Indigenous heritage and how I don't know everything about it. And if I were to do something in direct defiance of it, could I be like, could that shame me? Or like, I don't know if I would be haunted in the same way because this was really, oh my God, this is really terrifying. But like, what would that mean to me and how would that affect my life? So if you're into horror, I recommend this one.
I love that your first book was like sort of realistic fiction and your second book was a horror.
I know, I know, and I just went in the same list that I sent it to you, which has no rhyme or reason.
I love it. That's why it's diverse. That's what we want.
Exactly. And now we're going to go a little bit more fun, which is The Right Side of Reckless by Whitney D. Grandison. It's a young adult contemporary romance. We have his name is Guillermo Lozano. He's in a new town and a new school, basically trying to get a fresh start because he went to juvie. And he is trying to make sure that he does not jeopardize his future anymore and stay on the right side of being good, right? So he's trying to turn over a new leaf, whereas Reagan, London, she is always the perfect one, and she's trying to let loose. So, of course, when these two get together, do you be wild or do you play it safe or is there a good middle ground? So, Whitney Grandison is Black author, so that's Black owned voices. And I want to say Guillermo is Mexican, but please don't, or Latinx at least, so I don't remember exactly. But I also really like that Whitney didn't romanticize the bad boy persona in Guillermo because his experience of being arrested and being in juvenile detention was really affecting him and his family, and he wanted to change that. So, don't get me wrong, I do love bad boys sometimes in like romances and stuff, but in this case, it wasn't like, oh, he's a bad guy. I'm gonna like love on him. He's like, no, I need to change my life because I don't want to jeopardize me and my future anymore. So
Mhm.
that's why I really liked this one.
So that was a young adult romance. I do have to ask,
Yes.
was there any sense of like profiling in it? Like with the he's Mexican, he went to juvie.
Oh yeah, when he went to his new school, like everyone just kind of saw him as a bad boy cholo guy, like in a gang or something. And he's like, okay, first of all, that's not what happened, but he's having to fight that stigma, and that's all they're seeing of him. And I think maybe Reagan in the beginning might have fallen for that a little bit, but once she actually got to know him, she's like, oh man, I was wrong for thinking that about you. And he was also wrong in thinking that she's just like a goody two shoes. So there are those challenges or they challenge the stigma. And I
Mhm.
like that these books do that because it's showing that even though people have these stereotypes, you can challenge it and be okay. You should challenge it. So
Mhm.
I like that.
I do too. And I wanted to also say that as a romance reader myself, a lot of people say, oh, romance, that's just fluff. And there's so many books that are just not. They deal with so many issues and have a happily ever after. That is the one thing that has to happen. But the fact that the process can be so heart-wrenching is
Exactly.
something I really love about romance.
The romance is it's such a beautiful genre. I feel like it's my second highest with fantasy, and I think when authors do a really good job of talking about those difficult topics in a way that doesn't romanticize it, but also has a really good discussion on it, makes it that much better. And I think that's why people shouldn't sleep on romance. I love romance. All right. This one is a really important book for me, and I actually just read this either la February or early March. I want to say it was February. It's called We Need No Wings by Anne Davila Cardinal. It's magical realism. The author and the character are Nuyorican, so they're Puerto Rican living in New York, like second generation, right? So our main character is Teresa Sanchez, but she goes by Tere, and she's trying to learn how to deal with grief or navigate her grief over losing her husband unexpectedly. And she finds a year later she accidentally levitates in her garden, and that makes her think about her ancestor and her namesake, Saint Teresa of Avila. And she takes a trip to Spain to learn more about her and find out what this magic is because Saint Teresa also levitated. So she's like, "Oh, this must be like, is it a family thing?" But her learning how to navigate her grief and the loss of her husband unexpectedly was really important for me, and I I feel like the levitation was like a symbolism of learning to let go of that grief, and that helped me navigate my own grief of losing my dog unexpectedly back in February actually, so before we had our first talk. And this book is also one that I recommended to one of my mom's friends who's also going through a hard time. And something that I really appreciate was that the author, and I messaged her asking her if she could send a copy of a book to them. And I think she's going to do that and send like a personalized note. So I really appreciate that she did that. She didn't have to, but this book, I really wanted to show that there is hope. And that's why I recommended it to my mom's friend. But yeah, that one makes me cry.
Well, timing, of course, but why do you think that reading about grief helps us deal with grief? I would think you'd
For
avoid it.
For me, it I did have to step away a little bit because it kind of hit too close to home at the time, but also it taught me that we're not alone in dealing with grief
Mm.
and seeing somebody else who I want to say she's in her 60s, so it's not, like she had her husband for so long and he just like died out of nowhere. And it really rocked her world. And knowing that even this woman who's so accomplished, like she's a professor, she had a healthy marriage, her son is doing amazing, even to see her struggle with it kind of made me realize that it's okay for me to struggle with my own grief. Like, yes, a husband and a dog are not the same, but my dog was my son, really. And it affected me so bad that I needed to sit with my grief and understand that even if it takes me a while to fully be okay with it, that I also had to do the same. And while maybe I can't go to Spain and learn more about my own ancestors, I can do a little bit of soul searching on my own and try to just be okay with what's happened and try to move forward. And that's what Dede has to learn to do. So sometimes it helps you to realize that you're not alone.
That's a great answer. Thank you.
Thank you. And we're going to Hawaii. Lei and the Fire Goddess by Malia Mauna Kea. It's a middle grade fantasy. The author, Malia, is Kanaka Maoli, which is Native Hawaiian. And our character, Lei, who actually goes by Anna first. But the reason why the title is called Lei, as you'll find out in the book, is I can't say why. But she is also Hawaiian. And she almost feels ashamed of her family's mo'olelo, which are the ancient stories of the Kanaka Maoli, right? Because her friends on the mainland don't understand it. And they're just like, what is that, right? So she's living in Colorado. She's not around her family. And so when she goes to visit her grandma every year in Hilo, the Big Island, she ends up insulting Pele, which is the goddess of fire, which ends up making Pele get very vindictive and curse her family and take away her best friend. So she has to go on an epic journey to not only save her best friend, but also break the curse before her family home is destroyed by the volcano because Pele is not happy with her. So not only does Anna have to learn about being proud of who she is, being Kanaka Maoli, accepting her middle name, Leila, which is Leilani, but just she also has to kind of learn that she should not be messing with the ancient gods. Sorry, I laugh because I'm like, you don't do that. Like, you don't insult Pele. But, I think putting it in a middle grade novel was a really good way to not only connect with a lot of our Hawaiian kids here, like in me being in Hawaii, but also reminds them that, hey, our stories can be in books too. It's not like something that we can all, we only talk about verbally or like within the family. We can see our stories in books and people will enjoy them. And I really also love the inclusion of Olelo Hawaii, which is the Hawaiian language in here. So it made me miss Hawaii, even though I'm here again. But like if I was in Virginia, I would be like, oh, but that's why I like this one.
I think it's interesting that your other, the Stephen Graham Jones books also kind of dissed their culture. Like she dissed her culture, her religion, and then there was consequences.
Yes, not as bad as the indigenous horror, but it was still very much bad. But yes, I know. We need to learn not to diss our heritage, right?
Oh, I love Talia Hibbert.
Me too. And I had to share this one, Get a Life, Chloe Brown by Thalia Hibbert. It's an adult contemporary romance. Not only is our main character, Chloe, black and plus size, but she also deals with chronic illness. So I love the disability rep on this. When she has a near-death experience, she realizes that she hasn't actually lived her life. So her goal is to get a life before it's too late. And she makes basically her get a life list and she uses Red. She doesn't use him, but she hijacks him, Red, to help her make her way through her list and romantic adventures ensue. And one thing I really liked about this as well is that Red had a really traumatic relationship with his ex, and Chloe is also having to learn how to navigate that trauma that he has in a healthy way so that Red doesn't continue to be traumatized. And just seeing that, I think it was important to see that men can be the victims of an abusive relationship and abusive partner as well. It's not always just women, because I think sometimes people forget that men can be the victims of that as well. So seeing Red having to deal with that, seeing Chloe having to experience it and help Red navigate that was really important to me. So this is one of my favorites.
I have to say that I think that Talia Hibbert does the best job of making sure her characters are not just chronic illness or this or
Yes.
that they're so filled out, like
Yes.
they're just and Red never treats her like she's just her diagnosis, right?
Right.
Which I really love that about him as well. And she doesn't take any crap from anybody, which I really is
Yes.
it's like the
Yes.
best book, everybody. You should read it. There's three sisters and they're all amazing.
My favorite is the middle sister, Danny, but I had to start with Chloe because it's the intro. I recommend reading them in order, but all three sisters are amazing. So, yes.
Let's see.
Oh,
I have a question here, Al. Hello, Leland. You are so worldly and insightful. Thank you for all of these great, varied titles. Are the ones from your first meeting to us available? Yes, they are. I will I sent out a list to everybody who was registered last time, but I can send it out again. But it's also on our YouTube channel.
yes. Thank you. And I really appreciate those kind words. I know I'm just like speeding through these, but thank you.
I know
Really
half an
appreciate
hour
it.
just doesn't feel like enough, but we're gonna do it.
Yes. Okay, two more. Another YA, Fat Chance Charlie Vega by Crystal Maldonado, YA
Mm.
contemporary romance. Our main character is Puerto Rican. She's also fat, so fat rep plus size. There's pansexual and women love women reps. So we got our LGBTQ rep in here, and I'm so happy. It's a coming of age story of a fat brown girl, and that's how they describe it, but nothing's wrong with the word fat. So we're okay with that, right? She's living in White Connecticut suburbia. Charlie wants to learn to have a really good relationship with her body, especially in a world that's telling her to be smaller, be whiter, be quieter. Her best friend Amelia, who's pretty much the opposite of Charlie. She's fit, she's thin, she's tall, she's black, she's beautiful. Charlie is also beautiful, but one of the things that Charlie has to navigate is the fact that her mom really has a lot of fat phobia against her. And I think the mom really treats Amelia like the daughter that she wishes she had, because Amelia is the thinner one. So, um, that hurts as someone who's also fat, right? And I'm like having to learn how to love my body. And I've learned a lot in my life. And, knowing that Charlie has to deal with her mom being the main source of the fat phobia and really making her body image issues really bad. It
Mhm.
just hurts. I'm really lucky that my mom does not do that. My grandma doesn't. Like I'm really, really lucky on that, but I know that not everybody is. So I think that's why it stuck with me. But this also is a romance because Charlie starts to develop a crush on this guy, but she finds out that he actually asks out Amelia first. So she's like, what am I, a pity date? And
Yeah.
other hijinks ensue. And I really like this one because it also explores the female friendships and situations. Charlie loves herself, right? But she's still struggling with really accepting herself, especially comparing herself to Amelia. And I really like that these female friendships in this kind of explores that situation where how do you support each other regardless of what society says, and how do you continue to boost each other up, even if one of you doesn't feel like as good as the other. So this was a debut novel that I read a while ago, but this obviously has meant a lot to me, and that's why I picked it. So love that.
It reminds me of one of my favorite books, Bet Me by Jennifer Cruzy. Have you ever read that?
I haven't.
It's so this if anybody has read it, let us know. There's a woman, she's plus size and she's beautiful, but people only treat her for the way that it weighs. So like these
Hmm.
guys do a bet of like, oh, you can't get with her, like, you'll never get with her kind of thing. So this guy tries to start dating her. And her mother is also like that, very, very, very critical of her. Like she has a piece of bread and, the mom's like really mean to her. And she also has a very skinny sister. So it just reminds me of that. And I remember loving that book because the guy ends up understanding one, where she's coming from. And two, he's she loves chicken piccata, so he learns how to make it as it should be made so that she can actually enjoy it because like she just doesn't enjoy food because of the way she's been treated.
Yeah.
So like I love that this book that you just said, I can't remember the title already, um has that same sort of dynamic.
Yeah. Fat Chance, Charlie Vega. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
And
I love that.
yeah, I mean, there are white characters and, corporate America and things like that. But the fat shaming is and this was years ago. Like the book is probably a good 15, 20 years old. So
Mhm.
I think for me, it was an important book to read.
Yeah. You might have to send that one to me too. If you put it on the list, let me know because I'm interested in seeing that one.
Yep.
And
I'm sorry. I know you just have one more book to go.
go ahead.
I'll make another recommendation for a fat shaming book is not a fat shaming book, but this book changed my life. It's called Good Luck with That by Kristen Higgins. And it's
I've
about
heard of that one.
Okay, so it's three women. They meet in fat camp when they're 16, and they're all struggling with their weight and for different reasons and things like that. But the interesting thing about it is that as they get older, you see that they expect everybody to see them as fat, no matter what they weigh. So like somebody might not treat them as if they're fat, but they still project that onto other people. And I thought that was amazingly insightful, like that we do that because we see ourselves that way.
Yeah.
So I think everybody should read that book. It was so good.
Yeah, put that on the list too, because that's like I have that thought in my head too. That's so interesting.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
All right. So,
So last but not least, Dating Makes Perfect by Pintip Dunn, one of
oh,
my favorite authors. I was able to get her to come to our teen lock-in when I used to work at the library in Suffolk. She was virtual, but she did it for me, and I'm like so glad that she did because I love this book. Um, Pintip is also Thai American, so our main character is a Thai American. We have some bisexual characters, and then we have an Indian American best friend. Winnie, who's the main character, and her older twin sisters were always told that they are not allowed to date in high school. Asian families, we know what that is like, right? So when their parents ask the twins why they aren't engaged, now that they're in college, the twins say that they're never going to get married. They're rebelling. So now parents tell Winnie, well, you know what? We don't want that to happen with you. So now you're going to fake date in high school and you're going to practice based on all of our favorite rom-coms. So any rom-com scene that had a funny date, they want Winnie to like reenact it with a guy, but it has to be the guy that they trust, which is from a family friend who also happens to be Winnie's arch enemy for reasons that you find out in the book. And it's just so funny because one, I related so hard to the Asian culture. Like, yes, she's Thai American, I'm Chamorro Japanese, right? But like just hearing a lot of the things that that Winnie had to go through and her sisters and like the importance of doing really well in school and not paying attention to boys and stuff, but then also, hey, when are you gonna like give me grandkids and or great grandkids? And I'm like, what is this Asian thing? Like, and that's a joke for me, right? But it's just like I really connected to this, seeing like I did not have to fake date in high school like Winnie did, but I'm like, I could you imagine if I had to? And I really liked all the food that was in this. Like in Winnie's story, food is a love language for them. And I feel like that with my grandma. I mentioned her finally. She's always making me food, and that is her love language to me. And there's more things, but like every time I would visit her, she's always like, Do you make sure you eat? Did you eat anything? I'm gonna make you food." And I'm like, "Yeah, literally, same thing." So, yeah, that was all my books, and I did it again.
You did. I maybe I asked less questions, but um, I, I'm wondering, was there a reason that the majority of your books were romances this time?
I don't know if I just needed to be in like a love mood or something. I don't know if I like had to make up for February because I purposely didn't do a lot of romances in February, but I didn't even realize it until I was like doing the recap and I was like, "Oh shoot, a lot of these are romances." So I must be in a romance mood.
Nothing wrong with that. Well, I really appreciate this. I will send out a list to everybody of the books that Leland recommended, as well as anything that was in the chat, and of course the couple of books that I recommended. But since we do have a couple more minutes, I'm wondering if you've ever read Helen Huang.
Yes. Yes, the Kiss Quotient.
Have you read
I
the
read that one. I read the Kiss Quotient and I read the Bride Test, but I haven't read the third one yet.
Okay. The third one absolutely broke my heart. It was so good. It was so
Okay.
everybody. You need to read it. Um, but the yeah, the kiss quotient where she's neurodivergent and
Yep.
she is like, I have to have a relationship and she hires somebody. It's a total trope. But the that couple figuring things out was really wonderful.
I really loved it too because I forget the guy's name right now, but he realizes that she is neurodivergent because he was thinking about his brother. And he goes, you know what? That makes more sense. And he didn't like, I know in the beginning, maybe he wasn't understanding some of like her behaviors and antics, but then when he finally got it, he was like, wait, I need to make sure that she is comfortable and she's okay. And I really appreciated that because he could have had a totally different reaction and it could have been, it could have made her feel worse. But he is one of my favorite book boyfriends, I would say. I just forget his name right now, but that one I've read multiple times. I loved it. And I think that's why I haven't read the third one yet because I'm so stuck on the first one.
Well, the third one is a real heartbreaker, I have to say, because it's a little bit autobiographical.
Oh,
Um, yeah, you just keep thinking, why, like why does she do that stuff? Why doesn't she just leave? Why doesn't she? And you just realize she can't.
okay. I'll have to move it up my list.
Definitely. Everybody read these books. Read everything Leland said because we should at least give it a try, right?
Yes. At
Yeah,
least give it a try. And if you don't like it, it's okay, but at least you tried.
exactly. All right, everybody. Have a wonderful night. I'll send you that list and I hope you all have a good month of happy reading.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye, everyone.